Jay, everyone knows you were a noted Giants fan.
Yes.
You placed a lot of money on them to win the NFC East last year. It didn't work out for you.
Do it again.
Now that you see the schedule, Jay, will you put more money on them to win the NFC East this year?
I got to say, I'm skeptical as to whether the Giants are going to threaten for the division crown. It's just a concern that the Eagles and Commanders exist in that division, and they appear to be vastly superior teams. And the Giants, they face the Commanders in Week 1. It's not an easy schedule for the Giants. It's a lot of teams that are better than the Giants, and that's the issue, really. You look at their first, really, 12 games. The one game that they'll be favored in, maybe, is at the Saints. Outside of that, I suspect that they're going to be dogs in every game.
Yeah, you feel bad for Brian Daboll and crew, just because, again, to start with 2 road games, they're at the Commanders, they're at the Cowboys, they're home to the Chiefs, home to the Chargers. It's not till Week 5 at the Saints where you feel like, okay, that's a game they might have a chance. But then Eagles, at Broncos, that's a tough game. At Eagles again, home to the Niners, at the Bears, always tough to play in Chicago. Then you mention it, home to the Packers, at the Lions, Week 13 at the Patriots. And that's a Monday Night Football game. But listen, Vrabel's going to have them playing. By Week 13, the Patriots are going to be a tougher out. And that game's in Foxborough. So, they did not do the Giants any favors. And, they are they're not on Sunday night. They are not on Sunday Night Football this year.
I'll say this.
They have 2 primetime games in Week 6 and 13.
I think they're good enough to enter that Saints game with at least 1 win. Defense is good enough for them to enter that Saints game with at least 1 upset.
I feel like they're gonna have a season full of 3-point losses. Like, I just feel like they're going to be a tough, plucky out, you know what I mean? But they're just not going to be able to get.
They cover 60% of their games and go 5-12. So
That's
that
right.
type of thing,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So 3 teams have 0 primetime games in the season. The Cleveland Browns, who we saw a bit in primetime last year. I think we saw enough.
We say thank you.
Yeah. Outside of Jerry Jeudy and Jameis Winston, they held up their end of the bargain in primetime. Not much else, though. The Saints. Perhaps no surprise there. The Saints probably in for a tough season. And disappointingly, Cam Ward in prime time.
That's what I was shocked about, is that the number 1 overall pick, Cam Ward, who's also an exciting player.
That's the thing.
And
I didn't get it.
Well, and also just you sort of think about Brian Callahan and how he wants, the kind of offense he wants to run. Now that he has Cam Ward, it should be a more wide open offense, kind of up tempo and fun offense. So that's a weird one. The other thing is, I will say this, that again, we've talked about this. Super wide range of outcomes for Shedeur Sanders. He could be their starting quarterback. He could not make the team. I think there's a better chance that he doesn't make the Browns out of camp than he's their starting quarterback. But if he does, and he's their starting quarterback, I could see the Browns being flexed into a primetime situation if they're decent. Yeah. Just again, because he's a big name, he's got a lot of fans. Like,
I don't know if they'll be decent, but if he's starting, then you would want that as a primetime game.
Yeah, you could see a scenario where the Browns. Again,
but even the Titans too. I don't know how decent they're going to be, but if you get a chance to have Cam Ward versus Shedeur, then you gotta want that.
Here's what I think is going to happen. I think my man Joe Flacco is getting thrown to the wolves in that first month of the season. Because it goes schedule. Bengals at Ravens, Packers at Lions. Those might be like 4 of the 8 best teams in football.
Yes.
And then you have the quote-unquote easier game against the Vikings, who went 14-3 last year. Then you get to face TJ Watt on the road in Pittsburgh. So tough schedule. It gets a little bit easier in the middle of the season, and I suspect that is when they bring in whoever they choose out of Dylan Gabriel.
You think Joe Flacco get into week 6 as the starter?
Well, they have multiple starters is the good thing, Lawrence, so they can roll through. They can throw Kenny Pickett revenge game against the Steelers if they want.
Yeah.
Maybe that gets flexed into prime time. Dolphins, Patriots gets a little bit easier for the Browns after that.
But long season for our friend, former coach of the year, Kev Stefanski, 2-time, by the way.
Are they going to carry 4 quarterbacks? What's going to happen with the roster going into the season, do you think?
You would think so, because you drafted, it's still a 5th-round pick.
Are they going to cut Deshaun Watson? Like, what happens
Well,
then?
Deshaun Watson just pretend that he's just...
They'll put him on IR.
Yeah, he won't be on the 53-man roster, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. Could they sneak through Shedeur Sanders like on a practice squad?
I don't think so. Unless
do you think another team would
somebody will need the depth at the position by that point.
Does anyone carry 4 quarterbacks on the 53?
Once in a while.
I believe that either Kenny Pickett or Joe Flacco is not going to make
That's
it.
right. Yeah. I think Kenny Pickett
because
would be
the 2 draft picks, like you drafted them, you have to see what they could do.
Right.
you've seen what these other guys can do. And then Flacco just recently played with the Browns, so he kind of got the edge there, but I don't think one of them makes it.
He knows the offense, and you also I've never met Joe Flacco, but by all accounts.
Me neither, and I don't plan to.
Yes, nor should you. That would be, we might have to have a restraining order when you think about the amount of money he's cost you. But by all accounts, Joe Flacco, a really good dude and a good presence in the quarterback room.
Right.
So when you've got two rookies in Gabriel and Sanders, you would think Flacco's just a good presence for those two young guys. So I understand what you're saying about Pickett, but the weird thing is, Kenny Pickett is a former first-round pick. He's somebody that has started, I don't know how many games in his NFL career, but quite a few, and who they traded for. They actively traded for him. Like, it's not like they just found him. Like, they actively went out and tried to acquire him.
So that tells you the disconnect of them drafting Shedeur.
Right.
Like, whose decision was that? Because you made your decision to trade for Pickett and draft Dylan Gabriel. Then you're also drafting Shedeur Sanders. Now you have 4 quarterbacks, the reps, the roster management. It's just a very weird situation in Cleveland that we just don't know how it's going to shake out.
That's why I have to think that it was ownership.
That's what I think.
And not Andrew Berry or Kevin Stefanski who wanted Sanders, and they put on a brave face for the press. Either way, if you're interested in seeing this play out, you will have to tune in during the day because there are no primetime games for your Cleveland Browns, Lawrence Jackson.
Definitely my Cleveland Browns.
Yes.
A team
I don't know how we come to this, but they are my Cleveland Browns.
Well, they are now.
They ain't my Cleveland Browns until Shedeur starts.
I was just going to say, you've worn the number 2 Buffs jersey on this show multiple times.
And let's see if I get a Browns.
All right.
We had to see.
Wait for his next team.
Yeah.
Better jersey somewhere else.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.